Hey, everybody. We are talking about companies like FedEx. Can they deliver this week? Lennar, can they build on their success? And can Darden Restaurants cook up new results? All this week and more on Earnings Call. Let's get going. You know, it's really kind of a quiet week for earnings right now, but we have some pretty big names still declaring earnings for Q2 results. And those are going to come up in just a few moments. But let's talk about what happened last week with some of the stocks that we were looking at. And that begins with our headline stocks. All right. And we're going to start with that with Oracle. And this stock gapped up on 13% on earnings. Now, what's interesting here is the stock is that was its estimated move. That's what it historically does. And as we look at the chart, we can see that the stock it moved up by it touched 14% higher. Then it traded lower, and in closing the day at up about 11% right here. And now you can see since the earnings date last week, this stock has shot up. And Friday, man, what a crazy day as the stock really caught a bid, sold off. And now today we are regaining a lot of that move from Friday. So Oracle is really cooking right now, trading at 170. And last week when we looked at this thing, it was trading down here. It closed that day just below 140. So this stock has had a $30 move in just 1 week's time. All right, now moving forward, we also looked at Adobe last week, okay, and their results were kind of soft on earnings. And historically, Adobe has around 11% move around earnings. The stock dropped 8.5% on its results, but as you can see here, the stock is down another 1.35% today. And I kind of look for that trend to continue. This stock has gone from a close last Thursday of 586 half, okay, 586.55, and now is trading at 529.43, as you can see. So a significant drop, $40 in just a couple of days. On a percentage move, it didn't quite move as much as the average historical move, but still probably would have been a pretty good trade if you got the right pricing on a straddle or strangle. All right. And then one more stock that I wanted to look at from last week. And this was a stock that we did for our subscribers, one of the stocks that we did for our subscribers. And this was Signet Jewelers. And now this one was kind of interesting because the CEO came out and was talking about weakness in the luxury goods space, that they were starting to see some weakness in the more affluent sector, yet remained positive on the outlook, and felt that those peak consumers were looking to get a little bit more engaged. And I'm not sure kind of how that interpreted, but the market liked it, and the stock had an expected move of just over 11%, but shares jumped over 18% on that. And as you can see, they gapped up, traded higher, sold off during the day. Still a nice 1 day move. But then Friday, a big green bar. And today we're trading 1.64% higher, almost back up to those highs from their earnings result. So consumers and traders are looking very positive at Signet right now, which is on the more high-end luxury goods space for jewelers. All right. Now, we are in the more quiet period of earnings right now. And what I want to mention at this point is that be sure to look at the bottom, and you can go select our chapter feature and go stock by stock if you want to review any of the stocks that we talk about. All right, that chapter feature is available. And as you can see here, Earnings this week overall, there's only 102 companies declaring earnings this week. We are focused on about 12 of them, and of those 12, I've highlighted most of them here on my sheet, and we're looking for a big move from a few stocks. We're looking for a quiet move from a few stocks, but overall, it's pretty quiet as far as the number of stocks, number of companies declaring earnings. As a little looking forward, we're going to have this same type of thing happen next week. Really, the month of September is light because we're at the very back end of Q2 results, but then we'll get cooking for Q3. And then that obviously leads us into the fourth quarter and the Christmas buying season. But for this week, we have names, as I mentioned, like Federal Express. Okay, we expect big move for something like FedEx that typically this stock is going to trade about 11% higher after its earnings announcement. Right now, we see some decent pricing, so we might talk about this in just a moment. But that is a breakout candidate. Anything over 10% is a breakout candidate there. And then on the quiet side, we're looking at Lennar Holdings. Okay, we're looking for a move under 7%. The number actually was about 6.9, so I just rounded it up to 7. That is its average move through earnings, and we don't really expect a big move. My annotation here is just pointing to the earnings date, not necessarily that the stock is going to gap down. We don't know really which way it's going to move. We just expect that it's not going to move very much through earnings. And finally, we're going to take a look at Darden Restaurants. Same kind of thing here. Darden is actually even quieter, a less than 5% move through earnings, and typically pretty darn quiet. All right. And so we will look forward to that as we get ever closer. Now, all these stocks that I just mentioned, FedEx, Lennar, Darden, all have earnings on Thursday. Okay. Some have earnings before market opens, others have earnings after market close. But you can see that Thursday is really the biggest day for the number of stocks. Now, I will remind you that on Wednesday, we have our long-awaited Fed announcement. Okay, the FOMC meeting minutes and conference call will come out on Wednesday, and that could be a market mover, obviously. Is it going to be 25 basis points? Is it going to be 50 basis points? That could affect some of these stocks, and they could have a move before earnings. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that we might get an earnings, but actually through the actual earnings announcement is where all these calculations are being made, even though there could be a little volatility ahead of time. All right. Now, kind of buried the lead here, but my goodness, did we have a great trade last week? Okay, last week I brought you Restoration Hardware. Well, the company now is called RH, Restoration Hardware. We did a little strangle on this stock, and this is on the more expensive side for stocks that we like to trade. When they get up into that $300, $400, $500 range, the options become very expensive. And this trade was about $3,200, $3,300 as a debit, which is pretty large. But we were expecting a big move for RH because, well, it historically does. It historically does move big. And if we look at the results, my goodness, did we get our money's worth? In just a 4-day trade, we made a 91% return on our investment over just 4 days. The stock gapped up, traded up over 25% on that number. We were able to profit over $3,200 on the trade, well worth the expenditure. And if we look at the chart right now, boy, if you were to hold on to this thing, it is even following through to the upside today. So last week, it closed right before earnings last week on Thursday, after market close. It closed at 256.49. 256.49, and today is trading at 335.44. That's off its highs of the day, and still a big day, up another 4.25% after that 25% move on Friday. What a big move and a great successful trade on Restoration Hardware. Now, I have something for you. If you want to learn more about how we trade these stocks through earnings, there's a free guide you can download. And for these breakout stocks, especially, I'm going to introduce this link to you here at ewotrader.com/straddle. Okay, once again, that's EWO straddle.com, ewotrader.com/straddle for your free guide. It's going to tell you how we trade these earnings announcements and specifically what strategy we use for these breakout trades and how to trade them through the earnings announcement. Okay. And why that might be key is because I got another one for you right now. And that is on today's trade that we're looking at is, of course, FedEx. Okay, we're looking at FedEx to continue to deliver great results for us. This has been a stock that we have been pretty darn successful with trading these breakout strategies. And today we're looking at, once again, another little strangle here on FedEx. Again, this is on the more expensive side. Your debit's going to be around $2,200 for the trade. If you widen it a little bit, you can probably get it for under, meaning move your strikes a little higher, the puts a little lower, calls a little higher, separate them that way. You can probably get it under $1,900, but the problem is your break evens will move. Remember, those break evens are those light blue lines that you see on the top and the bottom that are horizontal. Those are my break evens there. And this is the most efficient trade right now with this little straddle that's around $2,200 on the debit side. But we're looking for a big move from FedEx as we go into the earnings announcement that is coming this week after market close on Thursday. So that's it for this week. We had a great trade last week. We're looking for another great trade today. Several big names delivering results. Everybody have a great trading week. Watch out for that FOMC meeting on Wednesday. And otherwise, I'll come to you next week with another edition of Earnings Call. Thanks for joining us. I'll talk to you again soon.